When I was in my early 20s, it was around Christmas time, the holidays, I was, I don't know, a little bit more sensitive to signs and symbols. I think people who are younger tend to be, or at least people who are exploring their spirituality who are younger tend to be sensitive to signs and symbols they see in their everyday life.
Yeah.
You see it with angel numbers a lot. And I was walking outside to the car to go to my aunt and uncle's house for Christmas celebration. My brother was there. And on the car, there was a layer of snow. And in the snow, there was a very clearly sculpted skull in the ice. There was...
What do you mean?
It was a very defined looking human skull in the ice.
When you said it was snow.
It was a skull in the shape of the snow in the car.
Oh.
And I looked at it and my heart sank. I was terrified. I said to my brother, "What does that look like to you?" And he took his finger and he drew a dick on the car. And he said, "What does that look like to you?" We go to my aunt and uncle's house for like a they're on my father's side, so they're Jewish, for I guess just a holiday dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And that evening, I almost choked on my food at the table.
What food was it?
It was some kind of like the very thinly sliced meat that is an appetizer.
A thinly sliced meat.
It's like gabagool.
Prosciutto?
Kinda. Yes, prosciutto.
Oh.
I almost choked on prosciutto.
Jeez.
And it was the most I'd ever choked in my life, before or since. And I ended up having to run to the sink and finally hacked it out. But I thought back to that moment when I saw the skull in the car.
Jeez, Louise.
And how things could have gone very differently.
Why are you telling me this story?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's fine. I'm totally okay with it. I didn't know if there was a point, or like, obviously there's a point that you almost choked, but I didn't know if there was we were tying it back to something.
Yeah. Are you sensitive to that kind of thing? Sign symbols you see in your life? Do you ascribe any kind of importance to them? Do you care?
I do.
You do?
Yeah. Well, like numbers, 21 is a very important number in my family. It was my uncle, my uncle. Oh my gosh.
Mine uncle.
My uncle.
Mine enemies.
It was my uncle's baseball number.
Oh.
And he passed away whenever I was really young. So it's just been like a number in our family. Like any like big event, like I'm getting married on the 21st purposely for that reason. Mm-hmm. One of my dad's wedding was on the 21st.
Wow. So it's like a thing. It's in your family, a tradition.
Oh, yeah. Lorelai was so close to being born on the 21st. She was 5 hours too late.
Who's Lorelai?
My niece.
Your niece?
My niece.
Which one?
I only have one.
Not two?
Oh. My niece.
Fucking stupid joke. Idiot, Dylan. Don't say fucking stupid jokes.
Ugh.
Your niece. Lorelai is a lovely name.
I think so too.
Yes, but I also like Gilmore Girls. So
that's not where it's from.
No, it is from somewhere else.
It is. I believe. Oh, sorry. You're waiting. It's actually the name. It's the spelling from Marilyn Monroe's character in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
I see.
Not named after that, but it's a pretty name. But it's used that spelling. Oh. So Lorelai in Gilmore Girls is it's an AI at the end, whereas Lorelai is an EI.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Oh, lovely. So you were talking about importance like numbers 21.
Numbers. Yeah. I've inadvertently always gravitated to numbers around my birthday. Like, even though I'm not a huge fan, I have had a rough relationship with my birthday, but like 4s and 7s, I really like those types of numbers.
Yes, because your birthday is on
April 7th.
April 7th.
April 7th.
Yes, you passed the test.
Yeah, I passed
April 7th.
I did. But no, I was just telling my mom, like, have you ever read tarot cards?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah, I had an ex-partner who was very much into tarot cards.
Okay.
And she would read mine all the time. It was fun.
Well, would you read them, though? Would you read them?
For another person?
Yeah.
No, I've never done that.
So,
never.
I don't know. I feel like I have, like, I'm sensitive to some things. I don't know what all exactly, but I think I'm a little sensitive here and there.
Oh, I see.
Just like this is going to sound crazy. It's going to sound like actually crazy.
This is the perfect platform for it.
I knew I was going to Kenya.
What?
I knew I was going to Kenya.
What the hell? Really?
I knew I was going to Kenya. So when we first got the email to submit ourselves for the raffle,
yeah,
I had like this really heavy feeling in my chest. And I was looking at it. I was like, I don't even know if I can make this work because of like my vacations that I have literally right after Kenya. And I looked at the trip. So I was like, I can make that work. And then as I was filling out the form, I just had this really heavy feeling in my chest. Like, okay, like that's going to happen. Like that's going to be my plan. Like that I'm going to go to Kenya. And then whenever they were pulling the raffles, they pulled it live in front of us. I was not concerned after the first one was pulled because I knew that I would be pulled for the second one. I had like the same heavy feeling in my chest.
Interesting.
And so like my face of shock that I had, it was more shock that feeling was correct.
Wow.
Over like me being actually chosen. I was like, holy shit, like I knew.
That's incredible intuition.
I don't know how else to like explain that, like I knew.
And would you call it intuition?
I would say it's intuition. I don't know what else I'd call it.
Because typically we define intuition as like a gut feeling that we get. But it's always been my understanding, at least, that intuition is the subconscious signs that we integrate into our minds that tip us off to a certain conclusion that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas in this case, those signs couldn't have been there. But yet you still felt that intuition.
I did.
Huh.
I did.
Has this happened before?
Every now and then. Yeah. Like I have pretty good luck in general. But like I feel like in the moments where I don't know, I do, not every time, certainly. Like there's been times where I'm like, is this it? I'm like, no, this is not it. Like it's a very distinct feeling, I would say. I don't like, it's not excitement or anticipation. If you feel like those feelings with that heaviness in your chest, it's not that. It's like a knowingness. I don't know how else to describe it.
Like a certainty.
Yes, certainty. It's certainty and excitement because of the certainty.
Okay.
Like it's
sort of collapsed into the same feeling.
Yeah.
What does that feel like?
I would say it's like similar to anticipation. Like it's very similar. It's kind of like, you know how whenever you cry, but like before you cry and like you get this really heaviness in your chest.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it feels.
It's interesting because I am familiar with that feeling. I, for example, you know, if it's an awards thing at our work and they're reading out the description of the award and they're going to say who it belongs to. Yeah. I will sometimes get that feeling, but I'm always wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, it's not just like anticipation or like you're really hoping you're like, it's just like more of like a confirmation. Like I just like whenever I submitted, like I was like, as soon as I hit the submit button, I was like, I'm going. Like that's it.
Maybe your mind knows your milestones in advance.
Maybe. I don't know.
Who knows?
Anyway, that was whatever you want to call it, whatever it might be or isn't. I had a very strong feeling that I was going to Kenya.
Fascinating.
And then I was shocked that feeling was right.
Yeah. I think most people can speak to a few different supernatural experiences that they've had in their lives. When I was younger, my parents told me that I would finish their sentences when they were reading something out loud as a child, or know what they were reading without looking at the book.
Oh.
And we've seen this kind of phenomenon in, if you're unfamiliar, the telepathy tapes, which are essentially experiments performed with nonverbal autistic people and their ability to communicate telepathically with their parents and loved ones.
Huh.
By the way, this is a full series that's been released. I definitely recommend checking it out.
We should cover that sometime.
Very recently, yeah. And I love it because I watched this video recently about the person who held or performed those experiments. And she was talking about how animals share that same telepathy. For example, schools of fish knowing how to turn in the same direction at the same time. Or when certain animals know to come to the door when their owner is coming home. Yeah. Even when that owner is coming home at a different time or in a different car.
Yeah. And that's a really great way to describe it.
Yeah.
That's actually the perfect way to describe it. Like the boys coming to greet me at the door, even when I come home at a different time. Like they just know. They just have like this
Janie
impulse.
does the same thing.
Yeah. It's just like, that's the way I would describe it.
Yeah. Strange stuff. And it's been completely unexplored and often diminished and discounted by the scientific community because it doesn't agree with a lot of their preconceived notions about how reality works, which kind of sucks because a lot of rational people these days turn to science for their worldview. Yeah. But nothing is truly complete. That's one of the beautiful things about life and one of the terrible things as well, that nothing is ever complete. Yeah. Science isn't complete. Our understanding of the world isn't complete, and it never will be.
Oh yeah, it will never be.
And that's a great thing because there's that quote, would you rather have questions that can never be answered or answers that can never be questioned? And I would rather personally have questions that can never be answered. Yeah. Welcome to my existential crisis.
the podcast where we talk about all the things that make us question our entire sense of self. My name is Madison Epley.
And my name is Dylan Berger. Madison, if someone told you they were able to channel an enlightened extraterrestrial entity, what do you think that entity would sound like?
I'm thinking.
Would it sound like that?
No, I think it would be like like really deep and like grumbly.
Yes. Well, that's interesting. It's a fun thought experiment, certainly.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say deep and grumbly because typically when people talk about aliens and visualize them, certainly, they're tiny. They're short little guys. They're gleep and glorp.
Yeah.
They're little dudes.
They're little tiny guys.
Yeah. What would an alien sound like if it spoke through us? Would it have an accent? Would it speak in a formal or informal way? In the case of Seth, who we covered in episode 33, the entity channeled through Jane Roberts spoke in a deeper, more authoritative tone with a strangely Italian lilt. But today we're not talking about Jane Roberts and Seth. We're talking about Darryl Anka and Bashar.
Darryl Anka.
Yes, and this case is pretty extraordinary, not just because of its contents, but because it's an ongoing phenomenon with a massive amount of recorded footage. And if the mic is picking up that popcorn as you chew on it, Madison, I'm going to be pissed.
I will not eat any popcorn.
Feel free.
No, it's
Actually,
fine.
no, I insist.
No, it's fine. I'm not going to eat any popcorn. Don't worry about it.
Oh, gosh. So going back, believe me, I've chewed on so many protein bars during this show.
So many. Crinkled so many wrappers.
I crinkled, I crunched, and I've been shameless.
You know what? Then I'm going to eat my popcorn. I didn't have lunch today.
So going back to the question, what would an alien sound like if it spoke through us? If Darryl Anka is to be believed, it would sound a little something like this.
Wait.
Oh, I love it.
No, you gotta play it again.
Gotta play it again?
Yes.
Okay.
It sounds like Stewie at the beginning.
How are you all?
Hello. Like the first two words sound like Stewie from Family Guy, and then it goes into like, like I'm a wacky guy.
You're a big Family Guy fan.
Yeah, you could say that.
You're a family guy.
A Family Guy.
A family girl, if you will.
Ew. I don't know why that just sounds weird.
Yeah, it doesn't sound great.
Family
now,
girl.
That is taken from the opening of Bashar's segment at the Conscious Life Expo 2025, which happened on February 9th, which is why you hear the audience excitedly cheering. Yeah, that was very recent. Now, I've watched and listened to dozens of these clips, and it's fascinating stuff. Darryl Anka is a rather level-headed, sort of nebbish guy. But when he's channeling Bashar, he's loud, articulate, and often rude, with a few quirks in his speech like saying understand as understand.
Understand?
Understand. It's like one is rolling your R's, but just a little bit.
Understand?
Understand. Like
understand.
That. Understand.
Understand?
Yes.
Understand?
That's correct. Now, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. There's a fair amount of ground to cover. For now, let's start with a quick bio on Darryl Anka.
Okay.
There was surprisingly little I could find about his early life. But he was born in 1951, and fun fact, he's actually the cousin of Paul Anka.
Oh!
Yeah, the famous Canadian-American singer and songwriter known for songs like Put Your Head on My Shoulder.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Yes, very popular songs. Now, Darryl took a different path, pursuing work in the film industry. He's been pretty prolific, acting as the writer, producer, and director on 3 feature films. Dearly Departed, a fictional documentary based on near-death experiences. First Contact, which talks about his own experience and a UFO encounter. And Alienated, a sci-fi film that he made with his wife, Erica Jordan.
Pretty on par.
Yes, he also has over 3 decades of experience creating storyboards, miniature effects, sets, and designs for Iron Man,
Damn!
Pirates of the Caribbean 3, I, Robot, and multiple Star Trek films. In short, he's deeply immersed in the world of fantasy and sci-fi. And in 1973, he had an alien encounter of his own. Quoting here, I had close-range, broad daylight sightings of UFOs with witnesses present both times. At each sighting, we saw a dark metallic triangular craft about 30 feet on each side. There were 3 blue-white lights, one on each point, and 1 orange-red light in the center. The craft in the first sighting was about 150 feet away. In the second sighting, only about 60 feet away. This led Anka, Darryl, not Paul, to begin researching the paranormal, or Paranormal, if you will.
Paranormal.
Oh, that would be an excellent Pixar film. A decade later, he met a channeler and started to study the practice of channeling. For those not in the know, channeling is a process of receiving information or energy from a source beyond the physical, then transmitting it. Through studying the practice of channeling, he became attuned to an extraterrestrial named Bashar. Who's going to be the focus of this segment. How fun. According to Anka, Darryl, not Paul, Bashar occupies a parallel reality in a time we'd perceive as the future. Bashar exists on an alternate dimension planet 500 light years from the Earth toward the Orion constellation. And this world is called Essassani. All this is going to be on the test. Yeah. So what Anka does is he enters an altered state of consciousness in front of a live audience, opens a dialogue, and answers questions, touching on things like the advancement of our planet and civilization, metaphysics, spirituality, extraterrestrial life, and other topics.
What is he saying in the beginning?
What is he saying?
In the Stewie voice, or like whatever.
Oh, I'll actually be getting that in just a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And people absolutely eat this up, me included. I love it.
Like me with popcorn.
Exactly.
I'm terrified of the part of TikTok that you're on. Terrified.
I'm terrified as well, and I can't escape it. Now, he gets up in front of an audience, he sits down, closes his eyes, folds his fingers together, and then over the next minute or so, he just twitches, clicks his teeth, jerks on stage.
Oh no.
Yeah, this man jerks on stage.
Oh no, please no.
And then bam, he hits you with that, I want to say good day to you all, this day of your time. How are you all?
I want to say good day, you all.
I want to say good day to you all, this day of your time.
How are you all? I want to say good day to you all of this day of your time.
I want to say good day to you this day of your time.
I want to say good day to you this day of your time.
How are you all?
How are you all?
Exactly.
Okay. What a weirdo.
What a weirdo. So now that we have an idea of Anka's background, let's get into Bashar. Now, Bashar isn't the actual name of this alleged alien being. It's explained that Bashar's species is telepathic and don't require names. How they refer to each other to other members of his species, I don't know.
They probably just feel. Like, not feel, but like they just like know the presence. They probably just like know.
Or maybe they communicate the image of the person.
Is there an image? I get maybe, yeah. I didn't think about that.
Like telepathically communicating an image of themselves or other Sassani. To fellow Sassani.
Okay. Wait, Dasani?
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah. However, Bashar knew that we as humans need names as identifiers. He chose Bashar, an Arabic word meaning messenger or bringer of good news. What do you say for?
Just thinking. I think it's interesting. Why Bashar?
For meaning, I would imagine. So it means messenger, bringer of good news.
Like, why in Arabic though?
Well, Darryl Anka is half Arabic, so it might have been related to his own.
I don't think I knew that.
Yes.
So I think. So it's interesting. Then this would have had to know that about him, and like as a way to like try to relate to him, I guess.
Yeah.
Chose a name that is hopefully be more relatable to him. Maybe to strengthen his relationship with Darryl Anka, he chose something that would be relatable. Yeah.
You know, I'm not 100% sure. That is an interesting connection and not easily explained.
No.
Now, as for what the race of alien Bashar is, what they look like, we have some compiled information.
Oh, okay.
The Sassani race is a 50-50 balance between humans and the beings known as the Greys, who are explained to be mutated parallel Earth humans.
Wait, so they're just the same as us?
Yes, they're a hybrid race. So essentially, and I looked this up a little bit earlier today, so according to Bashar, the Greys that we know come from a parallel reality Earth.
Okay.
That destroyed itself and mutated itself to survive in the conditions that Earth became.
It's too real.
It pursued technology at the expense of everything else and eventually transformed into what we know as the Greys.
That feels pretty on par.
Yes.
The grays reminds me of, you ever see Tales from the Dark Side?
I'm sure I have.
It's like in the beginning, whenever it's the same thing. It's the same place. It's another dimension. It's just not as brightly lit. That's what it describes it as. And it reminds me of that, or like A Wrinkle in Time.
Okay, I'm not familiar.
In the book, there's something very similar where like everything's just a bit off. Like there are aliens who are just trying to like look like humans, kind of like Black-Eyed Kids almost. Like everything's just like a little off and like a little grayish.
Interesting.
That's what I think of grays as.
Yeah.
Just like it's us, but it's just a little off.
What a terrifying world to live in.
Yeah, just like you took one turn to diverge from what we know, and that's what it turned into.
That's where you end up.
Yeah. Sorry, just my thoughts.
No, it's just imagine living in that place.
I hate it.
After being familiar with this, would be extremely unsettling.
Yeah.
Like if everything was just a little bit more dim, that's glaucoma. Anyway. Now, they're 5 foot on average.
Oh, just little guys.
Yeah, they're little guys. They're white
the grays were tall.
No, these grays are small.
Aww.
These are tiny little guys.
These little guys.
They have white to whitish gray skin, slender, small nose, small mouth and ears, slightly larger head and larger eyes. Now, these aren't grays. These are a 50-50 balance between humans and the grays.
Oh.
So this is a hybrid race.
Oh.
They're quasi-physical, riding the border of the physical and non-physical.
That breaks my brain.
Their irises are gray or bluish. The males are bald. Females usually have whitish hair, but this isn't always the case. So for all my short, bald kings in the audience, you know who you are. You're in good company on Essassani. Now that we've gotten introductions out of the way, let's get into the transmissions. I have 4 really interesting excerpts from these channeling sessions.
Oh, wow.
And I'd love to get your take on what you think.
Okay.
Let's start with Bashar's 5 laws of creation, which are intended to help humanity in recognizing the true nature of themselves and the universe at large.
Okay.
Here are the 5 laws. Number 1, you exist. Number 2, everything is here and now.
Okay.
Number 3, the one is all and the all is one. What you put out is what you get back is number 4. And number 5, everything changes except the first 4 laws.
Okay, we gotta hold on.
Okay. Holding on?
We understand.
Understand?
So like 1, 2, and 4, and 5 make sense. But I don't understand the 3 where like the one is all is one thing. That doesn't make any sense. Like I was with you.
I was a little unsure of that one as well. But from what I can gather from past transmissions, Bashar talks about how all of our incarnations on Earth are happening at the same time, though we're experiencing them separately.
Wait, what?
Yes. So since everything is happening all at once at the same time, and there is no such thing as the past or the future, only the present moment, all of our past incarnations are happening now.
That hurts.
Because if you think about it, it's always been the present moment.
Yeah.
As far back into the past as you can remember, it has always been now.
Yeah.
That has never changed. Only our description of now. We classify it as the past. But it's only ever been this moment.
We've only experienced now.
That's correct.
Jeez. Okay.
So when he says...
wait, so he's saying that like all the other universes are like just happening now?
Yes, everything is happening right now.
That's crazy.
So he describes it as channels on a TV.
Okay.
So even though we're tuned into this channel, there are other channels happening at the exact same time.
Oh, okay.
We are just on this frequency.
Okay. That's probably the best way I've ever heard it described. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think it makes...
kind of broke my brain.
It's very heady stuff.
Yeah.
Now, the first law is pretty self-explanatory. You exist.
I hope so.
You know? And in looking into these videos, Bashar talks about, I'm just going to refer to him as Bashar for clarity. Okay. He talks about how you never stop existing. Through death and various incarnations, you exist. You've always existed, and you always will exist, but in different forms. There's no such thing as nothing, and you will never be it.
I love that.
Me too.
That's lovely.
Yeah. And I don't remember if it was him or somebody else, but I think he spoke in the concept of old souls.
Oh!
And he said that all souls are the same age.
Okay.
They were all created at the same time. What you classify as a young soul or an old soul is somebody who's experienced fewer or more incarnations on Earth.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I like that.
Me too. Now, the second law, everything is here and now refers to time, if I'm not mistaken. In these transmissions, Bashar explains that all of time is happening all at once.
That makes sense with the radio or the TV frequency thing.
We talked about the third law.
Mm-hmm.
And it adds sort of an interesting angle to past life regression, how we're able to tap into past lives in our current incarnation, maybe not because they happened in the past, but
They're
because
sideways.
They're happening, adjacent to us.
Okay.
In the same realm
All right.
of time. The fourth law is pretty obvious. What you put out is what you get back. We see this in a number of cultures. The most obvious concept that comes to mind is karma. And of course, everything changes except the first four laws. Now, what are your thoughts on these?
I like them.
Mm-hmm.
I like them a lot. I don't know. I just like them. I think that it's like, I feel like sometimes laws can feel kind of like doom and gloom, but these feel kind of like, yeah.
They're interesting.
Yeah.
They seem very
fair,
very objective.
Yeah.
Neither are really positive nor negative, but just factual.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Because a lot of spirituality tends to be very saccharine.
Yeah.
Very sweet and like, oh, everything is beautiful and everything's love and love is God and God is everything. And that's wonderful. And that's great. And that might be true, but it's nice to have different angles about this kind of thing.
For sure.
Now, next excerpt. And this is a fun one.
Okay. Ready?
It has to do with the mechanics behind teleportation.
Fuck.
I'll quote directly here.
Scott Bakula, listen up.
You think of an object as existing in a location. We don't think it that way. We think that location is a property of the object. So if you change the locational variable in the energy equation of an object to another locational variable, the object has to stop existing at the first location and immediately start existing at the second location. Not actually having traveled the intervening distance, just disappearing from one spot and appearing in another. Now, if teleportation were to exist, that's probably the best explanation I could think of. I was talking to my brother about this last night, actually.
My brain.
And I was like, doesn't that make sense? He's like, yeah, that makes sense because you're such a fucking scientist. Like, you know shit about science.
Yeah, you're such a fucking
Yeah, I guess I don't know fuck all about science, but that does seem to make sense.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on speak on that?
Oh, so my brain hurts. I'm trying to wrap my brain around it. I think for what we know of teleportation, that makes the most sense logically. Like that blanket on the bed, it is sitting on my bed. But if I change the property to the blanket is on the floor, it would just be on the floor. But then how does that actually happen?
Well,
like it's a blanket.
Yes.
So like how do I...
So he describes it as each object having its own unique energy equation that comprises the object. And within that energy equation, there exists a locational variable, which describes the location in which the object exists.
Okay.
Now, by changing that locational variable to a different locational variable, you can change where that object exists.
Okay.
Instantly.
That's what breaks my brain.
It's interesting stuff. And he actually offered an experiment to test this information.
Okay.
Now, usually with kooks, we don't get a lot of like...
Here, test it and try it.
Yeah, testable information.
Yeah.
But with this particular guy...
Okay.
Now, he said, the idea of taking something that has very little friction, very little mass, maybe I'll try to do an impression, like a hollow conductive ball of steel, of copper, and putting it on a very flat table, as flat as you can make it, at least 10 feet long. How's that? Not great. Putting it at one end, and with whatever technology you have, making it resonate to the point where you can read its entire energy equation. Then move it to the other end of the table, take another reading, and see if your technology is sensitive enough to tell the difference between those two frequencies. Because there should be a difference. If you can measure the difference, then what you can do is put the object back in location A, and you can overwhelm it with a vibration of location B. It should start rolling down the table and stop at location B, thus proving the principle that we're talking about. We've described this experiment to several people on your planet. To date, no one has done it.
No one has done the experiment or been successful.
No one has done the experiment.
Dumbass.
Dumbass.
I have a question. So if teleportation is supposed to be immediate, why is the ball rolling then?
He said this is a simplified version.
Okay.
Because our technology is not powerful enough to read the entire energy equation of an object.
Okay, that makes sense.
So this is just like a basic fundamental showing the principle of how this kind of thing works.
Okay, I'd love to try this. Does anyone have a ball and a very flat table?
Does
2
anyone
balls?
have technology to vibrate an object so we can read its energy equation?
Yeah. What's the vibratometer or whatever?
The
what
vibrationometer?
Vibrationometer.
It's all coming together.
Give me the vibrationometer.
Man, that's interesting stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Now, next excerpt I found is interesting and is on the moment of death.
Oh, shit.
Yes, which Bashar describes like this, and I quote, "You will suddenly float out of your body. You may recognize that your body is lying down there. You may see people gathered around. You may choose to listen into a few things. You may choose to go to your own funeral. You may choose to visit some people. You may choose to attempt to communicate with them. Sometimes they will perceive it. Sometimes they will not. You may experience what is called the tunnel of light, which is actually just the way of expressing in your reality the idea of a link and a bridge between one dimension and another. And as you open up into the other dimension of spiritual reality, non-physical reality, most of you may experience being greeted by the non-physical spirit counterparts of people that you have known in life, or the idea of what you call people from other lives. You may thus then experience the sensation of unconditional support and love.
Oh.
Expansiveness. It will be like waking up from a dream in the way that you wake up from a dream now and go, oh, well, no matter how real that dream seemed, this is actually who I am, and that was just a dream. So death will be similar to that as well. This is who I really am, and physical life was just a dream. You will have what is generally called a life review. You will experience every single choice you made, every consequence of every choice you made, and you will actually feel it and everything that anyone else felt as a consequence of the choices you made, as if it's all happening to you, because it is all happening to you.
That's lovely.
Yeah, love it.
That makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
I want to believe that so badly.
And it's consistent with all the other NDE stories that we hear.
I was gonna say, yeah, like it does feel very, it feels very consistent with all of those, and kind of like all of those are mixed together, almost. Like when it describes, like, what did it say about you feel all the things you felt?
When you're going through the life review, you feel the consequences of every decision that you made in your life.
That's heavy. That's terrifying.
And how they affected other people.
Yeah, that's so scary. That scary in that like it would be painful. It could be painful.
Have
I'm
you
sure.
attacked a lot of people?
No, but it just like the things that aren't so good in your life. Like you're really experiencing everything, and that also. I like that version. Like if that is what hell is, instead of like there being like a heaven or a hell, like. Maybe the life review is if you're a good person, your consequences are like you're just feeling the goodness that you put out in the world. But if you're a bad person, your hell is that you get to experience the consequences of your actions and feel that.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that.
Yeah, I like that.
But each thing is equally enriching to your soul and its development. Even if it's all good things or even if it's all bad things. I guess a lot of people in the spiritual community suggest that that's how your soul develops and grows. Yeah. There's this great line from this book called The Afterlife of Billy Fingers, which is about...
Wait, Billy Fingers?
Stupid, but it's a nonfiction book written by a woman whose brother died in a car accident.
Oh, shit.
And he comes back to visit her and tell her about the afterlife.
Was his last name Fingers? Or did he lose them?
I actually don't remember. But one of the things that's said in the book is that we take a physical form because it's the only way we can participate in time.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
We take a physical form because that's the only way we can participate in time.
Yeah. That's interesting. That is, yeah, that makes sense.
It does.
Like without it, what do? You're just conscious.
I mean, I like to think that it's kind of like sandbox mode when you're dead. You just like get to look however you want to look and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But when you want to actually develop and grow your soul and enrich yourself with a new perspective, by going into a physical body, you're able to develop yourself by giving yourself limitations and exploring the world through a new perspective.
Giving yourself limitations. I like that.
Yeah.
That idea.
Now, on to the next excerpt. And this one's a little worrying, but I think it's worth mentioning. This is taken from a transmission that occurred on September 2024.
Okay.
And I quote, "Generally speaking, we are not really allowed to comment deeply on your politics. But since things are changing somewhat in the near future, I am allowed to give you some very general specifics about the election in the United States. However, there must be caveats with this. Since we are normally not allowed to comment on such things, there are certain things we can say, but if we say them because it is your world, are you willing to take responsibility for the responses of your population to what we are about to say. And before you answer, think carefully about what that means. Are you willing to take responsibility for what we are about to say? Be sure the answer is yes. The woman asking the question immediately says yes.
Really took her time to think about it.
Yeah, she's like, yes. To which Bashar replies, all right, this is what we're allowed to say. The female will lead to open contact. The male will lead to the termination of the United States in World War III.
Fuck.
Yeah. Not great.
The female will what?
Lead to open contact with aliens.
I see.
There's an audible gasp from the audience at this because, you know, if you buy into this, then you were just told that if Donald Trump is elected, it's going to lead to the destruction of your country in World War III.
Hey, guys! Look at where we're at now!
I pride myself on being somebody who can live my life individually as a person separate from the larger community in which I live, and I find my peace that way.
Yeah.
It's harder to do these days.
It is. It really is. It really, really is. I have a hard time separating myself from the community, so I envy that, genuinely. But for people who have a hard time, people who have a harder time separating themselves like I do, it's been rough.
It has.
It's been rough.
How have you been coping?
Lots of cosmic brownies. Little Debbie's my best friend. Hello.
The cosmic brownies. This isn't even the first time cosmic brownies have made an appearance on this podcast.
And it won't be the last.
No. God, no.
I have them in my cupboard. Probably going to have a Sunday tonight. With some ice cream.
That's incredible. Now, if you believe that Anka is really channeling Bashar, that's gasp-worthy, this
Darryl,
piece
not
of
Paul.
information. Darryl, not Paul. Now, I don't want to get political, even though this is an educational fashion, language learning and politics podcast, but like we just talked about, it seems like things are going in the direction of what has been suggested.
Yeah.
Now, you might be thinking, this guy's a kook.
Which guy?
That's funny. And that's perfectly rational. He's claiming to channel an alien occupying a parallel reality from the future on an alternate dimension planet 500 light years from Earth, which the cell service has to be phenomenal. Must be using ET&T.
I hate it. I hate it here.
That aside,
you know, you're actually, I know why. I know I have the answer behind the technical issues. It's because you say shit like that and my computer decides, that's it. I've had enough. Any computer I'm on, it's just like, you know what? We're done.
I worked so hard on that joke. I spent a minute on that joke, actually.
A minute?
Yeah. I looked at different cell services and found the one that fit with aliens.
Oh, my God.
How unfair.
Oh, sorry.
Truly.
Sorry. I take it back.
Thank you.
I don't.
Formally taken back. That aside, a lot of people are rightly skeptical.
Yeah.
You know, so naturally, Darryl Anka agreed to an EEG reading of his brain.
Okay.
Which is a test that detects abnormalities in your brain waves.
Okay.
The doctor involved was Janine Lemaire Kabbalah, doctor of psychology, board certified in neurofeedback, clinical psychologist, and EEG technician. She recorded Darryl's baseline EEG when he's not channeling so she can compare it to his EEG when he is channeling. She shows a picture of Darryl's raw EEG baseline. Eesh. Really shows that, huh?
Yikey, crikey.
Is he okay with it? Which she describes as a rounded, rhythmic, dominant frequency.
Oh my!
In the posterior
cortex. Listen, we have used some explicit language sometimes, but that's a little much.
Yeah. Honestly, though, this is a positive finding because it tells us that Darryl's nervous system is stable, that he has good thalamocortical functioning.
Hopefully.
And I could be a doctor because I can say words like that. And that was my first try.
What do you know about science?
I know shit about science. Now, this is a feature found in individuals who are peak performers. And I don't know if her word choice there was intended.
Oh, no.
Now, she then goes into what happens when Darryl disconnects and begins to channel. She said that it appears that he disconnects from his personal sense of self and the experience of pain. What increases when he begins to channel is his processing speed. She talks about how processing speed is an interesting phenomenon because it develops in early childhood and reaches a set point, which usually doesn't change during a person's lifetime. In Darryl's case, this set point went up just minutes when he started channeling. It also increased when he listened. The Darryl set point was 9 hertz. Bashar channeling was 10 hertz. Bashar listening was 11 hertz. Also, during the channeling state, the parts of the brain responsible for processing Darryl's personality were shut off. Curious stuff. Now, as for what we could take away from this, it seems like the channeling state is very much a state of altered consciousness, as proven by this testing. It's a different thing entirely to say that Anka's capable of transmitting alien messages.
Yeah.
Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, though.
Okay.
Let's say that he really is channeling Bashar.
Okay.
Who's to say that Bashar is telling the truth?
That's a really good point.
Yeah. Could this alien have its own ulterior motives? It's certainly possible. We can only really take Bashar at his word. But I'm not sure that this theory holds much weight, as Bashar tends to talk about ways in which people can affect positive change in their lives and the world. He pushes people to pursue their passion, encourages acceptance, and counsels people who are going through difficult situations by offering a unique perspective.
What if he's playing the long game?
Yeah. Just getting people's trust.
Yeah.
It's been a very long game. He's been channeling for 40 years.
Holy shit.
Just about, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
A long time.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking like 5.
No,
maybe 20.
He's been doing this a long time.
Jeez.
So, Madison, where do you fall on all this? What do you think about Anka channeling Bashar?
Don't know. I don't know. I feel like my devil's advocate side is like, well, it makes sense that he's saying these things. A lot of it is like in terms of like the rules of the universe or like what you experience, because it does sound kind of like a mishmash of everything that people have said before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's really also fascinating with his personality like shuts off.
The parts of his brain responsible for processing personality shut off.
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't.
Which is interesting because Bashar certainly has a personality.
Yeah. But I mean, but if he's channeling, then he has to make sure that the other guy's quiet so he can talk.
I guess so, yeah.
I mean, at the very least, like you said, if it's not that, there's something is happening. It sounds kind of like a meditative state or like an unconscious.
No, it's sort of like an altered state of consciousness.
Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like. I don't know. I'm always skeptical. I'm like, I like ghosts. I want to believe in ghosts. I feel like I do teeter on the ghost believing side, but I've never seen one. I've never witnessed one myself, and I would love to. I'd love to, but it's not happened to me yet. So I don't know. It's very similar to that.
I think a lot of it has to do with our openness to experiencing these things. That's
the thing. Like, yeah, I would say, like, yeah, I'm open. I'm open to experiencing it. I would love to experience this, and yeah.
Would you say that you have ingrained skepticism?
I would say for sure.
Do you think that maybe that is potentially holding you back from experiencing ghosts? Because you can't believe and not believe in something at the same time.
It's true. I think I want to believe in ghosts.
Very X-Files of you.
Yes, I want to believe in them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I don't fully because I haven't seen, but I am, though, open to that. Like, it's not like a, oh yeah, prove it. It's like a, yes, I would love to experience that. So I think it is a mix of both. I know it's like, you can't believe and not believe in something at the same time, but you can be open to it and inviting to it while also maintaining a healthy skepticism about it.
Are you maintaining that skepticism for yourself or for other people?
I don't think it's for other people. I think it is for myself. I think like for me, I think I want to have a concrete answer to it. And because it is so not concrete, I want to have a concrete answer to everything. And I struggle with not having a concrete answer to things.
It's interesting. Maybe the only way that we can really gather information on these topics, spiritual topics, paranormal topics, isn't by our typical methods of fact finding that we rely on for other things like science and physics and math, but rather intuitively through our senses and through our experience. Maybe that's why there's so much conflict in these different fields of study.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Dylan?
There's a ghost right behind you. I'm an open-minded guy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair or forward-thinking to discount ideas because science hasn't reached them yet.
Yeah, 100%.
It's pretty common to hand-wave the strange and mysterious because it hasn't been thoroughly studied. But I'd like to remind everyone that all of this science-backed weirdness we accept today, stars and gravity and dinosaurs, these things were once a mystery as well.
Yeah.
So let's not get ahead of ourselves while still putting ourselves out there. Because today's strangeness is tomorrow's status quo. To everyone listening, I'd just like to say, Good day to you all. Sources are First Contact channeling Bashar, John Hopkins Medicine, Rational Wiki, Coverfly, IMDb, The Wonders, and Spotify.
Wow. That was amazing, Dylan.
Thank you very much.
I love that. Thank you so much for bringing that.
Of course.
I'm going to be thinking on that for a while. I really am. I'm fascinated by it. I'm very interested.
Yeah.
As you know, I tease that I'm scared of your side of TikTok, but I'm actually very fascinated by it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful and interesting thing. And, the question that I asked you earlier about like whether you maintain skepticism for yourself or other people is something that I've tangled with myself. Is like, is it me being skeptical or am I just being skeptical because I don't want to look crazy in front of other people?
Yeah. No, that's a very fair thought. I think there is, I'm sure that there is some of that, I'm sure there's definitely some of that. And then also like vice versa. It goes back and forth. You say that you believe in things because you're afraid of what people will say. Does that make sense? Like it goes both ways.
Speak on that.
No, like how if you're skeptical of ghosts or if you believe in ghosts, you're crazy. But if you believe in like a religion. Like,
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. You can't believe in spirits, but you can believe in the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. It's just like things like that go like back and forth,
We've been talking a lot about some pretty cerebral stuff.
Yeah.
Some pretty heavy stuff, some heady stuff,
my cerebellum is pulsing. My
posterior cortex is rounded. Gosh. It's such an interesting topic though, because I really do want to believe in this stuff. I do.
I know.
Because it's so fun.
The glimmer in your eye when you talk about it, pretty fun.
I find it so fun and exciting and interesting to think that the universe could contain all this mystery and all this magic.
Yeah.
And I will continue to enjoy these things and play with them and have them be as small or as large a part of my life as I think is relevant to my current lived experience.
Thank you for bringing that, Dylan.
Yeah, 100%.
I really love that. I love that a lot. Yeah, you always bring really cool stuff.
Thank you very much. Likewise.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, folks.
Well, if you want to find more of us, you can do so at ME Crisis Pod on Instagram and Facebook, and maybe someday Blue Sky if I get my act together. I keep saying it so that maybe it'll happen one day. And then I'll actually do it. And then if you want to send us a topic or just say hello, you can do that at myexistentialcrisispodcast@gmail.com. And Dylan, where can they find you?
Marble Folk.
And you can find me at Madison at Blue.
All right, folks. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Bashar would say.
And good day to you all.